Canada is one of the world's top destinations for international students, but starting this school year, the rules have changed. From study permits to work eligibility, the federal government has introduced new policies that affect how students apply, study, and work in Canada. Today, we're breaking down 6 major changes that every international student and their families need to know. At number 1, study permit cap reduction. Let's start with the biggest shift. Canada is capping the number of study permits issued in 2025 to 437,000. That's about a 10% drop from last year. Canada issued 485,000 study permits in 2024. It was over 600,000 in 2023. Crazy numbers. I don't think it was helping the students or the country that we were taking in that many international students. The government is finally acknowledging that the surge in international students has put pressure on housing, healthcare, and public services, especially in provinces like Ontario and British Columbia. Obviously, this study permit cap impacts students applying for study permits in 2025. It will also impact institutions who must now manage enrollment more carefully. Some of them are finding that they really miss those triple high international student tuition fees. International students pay 3 to 5 times more in tuition than domestic students. Many Canadian universities rely heavily on international student tuition to offset declining government funding. This cap in international student numbers has the potential to impact domestic students as well. We're seeing universities are now cutting faculty and staff. We're seeing deeper cuts to student services. Some courses are getting cut as well. It will be interesting to see how that develops. Anyways, here's number 2. Provincial attestation letters are now required. This actually started January 22nd, 2025. Most international students must now submit a provincial attestation letter with their study permit application. This letter confirms that the province has space for the students under its allocated quota. Most post-secondary applicants, including master's and PhD students, will need to show this letter. Students applying from outside Canada or changing institutions must also show this letter as well. So why does this matter? Provincial attestation letters help provinces manage their share of the national cap. And without one, your application won't be processed. So if you're in the process of applying for study permits right now, hopefully you know that. So make sure you submit your provincial attestation letter. Here's number 3. There are now stricter financial requirements for study permits. Starting September 1st, 2025, study permit applicants must show they have $22,895 in available funds for living expenses. It used to be $20,635. So that's a slight increase there. But this $22,895 does not include tuition and travel. Acceptable proof includes bank statements, guaranteed investment certificates, or GICs as they're popularly known, and student loans or scholarships. So why does this matter? This change ensures students can support themselves and reduces reliance on public services. The idea is to make studying in Canada less accessible for low-income applicants. To be honest, as a person who was an international student myself at some point in my life, I don't expect this to change anything. I don't think an extra $2,000 will stop someone who wants to come to Canada. Anyways, here's number 4. Post-graduation work permit eligibility changes. Canada is overhauling the post-graduation work permit program, which lets graduates work in Canada after finishing their studies. Major changes took effect June 25th, 2025. 178 programs were removed from the postgraduate work permit eligibility. Things like general business, hospitality, and basic arts were removed. 119 new programs were added, including healthcare, STEM courses, trade, education, and agri-tech. Unfortunately, you can't just go out and study wind singing or something else and get a postgraduate work permit anymore. I don't know if wind singing is actually a real course. I was just giving an example, right? For language requirements, applicants now need a CLB score of 7 for university grads and 5 for college grads. CLB just means the Canadian Language Benchmark. It helps to establish how well an applicant can speak English or French. Also, public-private partnerships are no longer eligible for postgraduate work permit. Let me explain that a bit. In provinces like Ontario, a public college may license its curriculum to a private career college. Students attend classes at the private college but graduate with a diploma from the public institution. This arrangement allows students to enroll in programs delivered by private colleges and receive a credential from a public college and qualify for a postgraduate work permit that way. These programs were seen as loopholes for work permit access and permanent residency for a long time. Concerns were raised about educational quality, student support, and oversight at these private partner campuses. The Auditor General of Ontario flagged these issues in a 2021 audit, which prompted federal reforms. These reforms matter because Canada wants to align education with labor market needs. That's important. Students in low demand fields may no longer qualify for a post-graduation work permit. So international students, make sure you choose your program wisely. You've been warned. Here's number 5, work hours for international students. This one's actually a change that gives students a bit more flexibility. This started November 2024. International students can now work up to 24 hours per week off campus during academic sessions. Some of you might remember that the limits used to be 20 hours a week. Obviously, you still need to check through the conditions on your study permit to confirm if you're eligible to work. So why does this matter? This helps students cover living expenses and gain work experience. But remember, students, your primary focus must still be your studies, okay? That's how you keep your status. If you fail out of school, you're out of here. Anyways, number 6, new procedure for changing educational institutions. You got to pay attention to this one. Starting in 2025, students wishing to change their designated learning institution must apply for a new study permit and wait for approval before commencing studies at the new institution. There were exemptions earlier in the winter and in the spring of 2025. That no longer exists. Okay, so pay attention. Make sure that you apply for a new study permit and wait for approval before commencing studies at the new institution. So what's the big picture? Canada is tightening its international student policies to protect program integrity and manage resources and also align education with economic needs. These changes mean more paperwork, more planning, and more competition for people trying to study in Canada. It's a privilege, not a right, right? If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and drop a comment below. How are these changes affecting your plans to study in Canada? Let's talk about it. I'll see you next time. Take care, you guys.